I want you to do something right now that might feel a little uncomfortable. I want you to stand up or sit up straight and place your hand on your stomach. I want you to push in. Does your belly feel soft, squishy, and movable, like a pillow or a bag of jelly? Or does it feel hard? Does it feel solid, distended, and tight, almost like there is a basketball inflated underneath your skin? If you can pinch an inch of fat and wiggle it, that is one thing. But if your belly pushes back against your hand, if it feels like a rock wrapped in skin, then you are in a danger zone that is far more critical than just needing a bigger pair of pants. We have been taught to hate all body fat. We look at the mirror and we judge the jiggly parts. But I am here to tell you that the soft, jiggly fat on your hips, your arms, and your thighs is largely cosmetic. It is irritating, but it is passive. It sits there and minds its own business. But that hard, round, protruding belly? That is a biological emergency. That hardness tells a terrifying story about what is happening inside your abdominal cavity. It means that the fat is not sitting on top of your muscles, it is packed underneath them. It is strangling your liver, it is crushing your pancreas, and it is weaving itself into the very fabric of your intestines. This is called visceral fat. And unlike the soft fat, this fat is not just storage. It is an active, aggressive organ that is pumping poison into your bloodstream 24 hours a day. It is a time bomb. Today, we are going to dismantle the mystery of the hard belly. We are going to explain why this happens specifically to people over the age of 60. We are going to look at the role of the liver and a specific type of sugar that acts like fertilizer for this dangerous fat. And I am going to give you the roadmap to deflating that basketball, relieving the pressure on your organs, and reversing the metabolic damage before it turns into full-blown diabetes or heart failure. By the end of this video, you will understand that a hard belly is not a weight problem, it is a metabolic crisis that requires a very specific solution. To understand why your belly is hard, you have to visualize the anatomy of your torso. Think of your abdominal wall, your abs, as a corset. Underneath that corset are your vital organs, the liver, the stomach, the intestines, the kidneys, the pancreas. In a healthy body, there is a little bit of space between these organs. They can move and slide. But when you develop visceral fat, you are packing the spaces between these organs with dense, hard, yellow fat. Because this fat is trapped behind the muscle wall, it has nowhere to go but out. It pushes your muscles forward. It stretches the abdominal wall tight like a drum. That is why it feels hard. It is under pressure. It is exactly like overstuffing a suitcase. If you throw a few shirts in a suitcase, it is soft. If you pack it until the zipper is screaming, it becomes a hard, solid brick. Your torso is that suitcase. Why is this fat so much more dangerous than the fat on your legs? Because of its location and its blood supply. Visceral fat is intimately connected to your portal vein. The portal vein is the major highway that carries blood from your intestines directly to your liver. Because this hard fat sits right next to the liver, it dumps its fatty acids and inflammatory chemicals straight into the liver. It creates a condition called fatty liver. When your liver gets choked with fat, it cannot do its job. It cannot filter toxins effectively. It cannot regulate blood sugar. But it gets worse. This hard fat is biologically active. It acts like a gland. It secretes hormones and inflammatory proteins called cytokines. Specifically, it pumps out interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor. These are the chemicals of war. They tell your body that it is under attack. They cause systemic inflammation. This inflammation travels to your arteries and makes them stiff. It travels to your brain and causes fog. It travels to your joints and causes pain. If you have a hard belly and your knees hurt, they are connected. Your belly is manufacturing the inflammation that is destroying your knees. Furthermore, this fat releases a protein that causes insulin resistance. It puts a lock on your cells so they cannot accept sugar for energy. This forces your pancreas to pump out more and more insulin to overcome the lock. Eventually, the pancreas burns out. That is type 2 diabetes. The hard belly is the precursor, the warning shot, for diabetes. So, why does this happen? Why do some people get soft bellies and others get hard bellies? And why does it accelerate after 60? It is rarely just about calories. You can eat 2,000 calories of steak and eggs and not get a hard belly, and you can eat 2,000 calories of soda and crackers and get a massive one. The driver of visceral fat is hormonal and chemical. The first major culprit is insulin. Insulin is the fat storage hormone. But it specifically loves to store fat in the midsection. When your insulin levels are chronically high, because you are eating refined carbohydrates and sugars frequently throughout the day, your body is in constant storage mode. But there is a specific type of sugar that is like rocket fuel for hard belly fat, fructose. Fructose is the sugar found in fruit, but in nature, it is wrapped in fiber. You can't eat enough apples to hurt yourself. But in our modern diet, we drink fructose. We drink orange juice. We drink soda, high fructose corn syrup. We eat processed foods packed with it. Here is the secret: fructose can only be processed by the liver. Glucose can be used by every cell in your body for energy, your muscles, your brain. But fructose goes straight to the liver. If you overload the liver with fructose, it has no choice but to turn it immediately into visceral fat. It packs it right there, inside the abdomen. If you are drinking a glass of orange juice every morning thinking it is healthy, but you have a hard belly, you are fueling the fire. You are directly feeding the visceral fat cells. The second culprit is cortisol. This is the stress hormone. We tend to think of stress as work stress or traffic. But for seniors, stress is different. It is pain. It is inflammation. It is poor sleep. It is worry about finances or family. When cortisol is chronically high, it does something very specific to your body shape. It breaks down muscle in your arms and legs to create energy, and it deposits fat deep in the abdomen. This creates a specific body type that is common in aging: thin arms, thin legs, and a large, hard, protruding belly. We call it the cortisol belly. Cortisol actually mobilizes fat from other areas and moves it to the visceral depot because visceral fat has more cortisol receptors. It is a survival mechanism. Your body thinks you are in a long-term famine or war, so it stores energy in the easiest place to access it quickly, the center of the body. If you are not sleeping well, if you have sleep apnea or insomnia, your cortisol levels never drop at night. You are marinating in stress hormones while you sleep. This keeps the belly hard and stubborn. The third culprit is alcohol. There is a reason we call it a beer belly. But it's not just beer, it's any alcohol. Alcohol is treated by the liver as a toxin. When you drink, your liver stops burning fat immediately to focus on burning off the alcohol. It pauses all other metabolic processes. If you drink alcohol regularly, your liver is constantly on pause, and the fat accumulates. Furthermore, alcohol increases cortisol. It is a double whammy. It stops fat burning and promotes central fat storage. For many men over 60, the hard belly is almost entirely a product of evening alcohol consumption combined with high cortisol. Now, let's talk about the physical pressure. This is the part that doctors rarely mention, but it is vital for your comfort. A hard belly is heavy. It weighs 10, 20, 30 pounds. This weight is pulling forward on your spine. It acts like a lever. It creates a massive amount of torque on your lower back. This leads to lordosis, an excessive inward curve of the spine. The vertebrae get crunched together. The discs get compressed. This causes chronic, nagging lower back pain that no amount of massage will fix because the cause is the counterweight in the front. It also presses upwards. The hard fat pushes up against the diaphragm. The diaphragm is the muscle that allows you to breathe. If it can't descend fully because there is a basketball of fat in the way, you cannot take a deep breath. You develop shallow breathing. This leads to lower oxygen levels, fatigue, and even anxiety because your body feels like it is suffocating. It also pushes on the stomach, causing acid reflux, GERD, and sleep apnea. That hard belly is literally crushing your internal organs. So, how do we fix it? Can you turn a hard belly into a soft belly, or get rid of it entirely? The answer is a resounding yes. In fact, visceral fat is the easiest fat to lose. I know it feels stubborn, but biologically, it is very sensitive to lifestyle changes. Because it has such a rich blood supply, which makes it dangerous, it also means it can be mobilized and burned for energy very quickly if you send the right signals. The first step is to stop the fructose. You must conduct a sugar audit of your liquids. Do you drink juice? Stop. Do you drink soda? Stop. Do you put sugar in your coffee? Stop. Do you drink health smoothies loaded with 5 different fruits? Stop. You need to eat whole fruit, and limit it to low-sugar options like berries. By cutting off the liquid fructose pipeline to the liver, you stop the daily production of new visceral fat. This is the most powerful lever you can pull. The second step is intermittent fasting. This sounds scary, but for seniors, it is incredibly effective for this specific problem. Intermittent fasting simply means compressing your eating window. Instead of grazing from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., you try to eat only between, say, 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Why does this work for hard bellies? Because it lowers insulin. When you are not eating, insulin drops. When insulin drops, the lock on the fat cells opens. Your body switches from storage mode to burning mode. And because visceral fat is so metabolically active, it is the first fuel source your body goes after. It burns the dangerous fat before it burns the subcutaneous fat. You literally start to eat your own belly for energy. Start slowly. Just stop eating after dinner. No late-night snacks. That alone gives you a 12-hour fasting window while you sleep. Then, try to push breakfast back an hour. Give your liver a break. Let it catch up on its work. The third step is specific movement. I am not talking about crunches or sit-ups. Please, do not do sit-ups if you have a hard belly. First of all, they won't work. You cannot spot reduce fat by working the muscle underneath it. Second, because your belly is so large and hard, trying to do a sit-up puts immense strain on your lower back and neck. It pushes the organs outward, which can even cause hernias. The exercise you need is walking. Walking is the ultimate cortisol-lowering exercise. High-intensity exercise, like sprinting or heavy CrossFit, can actually raise cortisol in older adults because it is a stressor. But walking lowers cortisol. It calms the system. It burns fat gently without triggering the fight or flight response. Aim for a brisk walk, maybe 30 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be a marathon. The rhythmic movement of walking also helps massage the intestines and move the lymph fluid in the abdomen, helping to reduce bloating. We also need to address the bloating component. Sometimes, a hard belly is a combination of visceral fat and trapped gas or inflammation in the gut itself. This is often caused by foods that irritate the gut lining, like gluten or dairy, or by an overgrowth of bacteria, SIBO. If your belly is hard in the evening but soft in the morning, that is bloating. That is gas. If it is hard 24/7, that is fat. But often, it is both. Removing inflammatory foods like wheat and processed grains can reduce the distension significantly, making the belly feel softer and smaller within weeks. Let's talk about magnesium and sleep. If cortisol is a driver, we need to lower it. Sleep is when cortisol is flushed. But you can't sleep if you are stressed. Magnesium is the relaxation mineral. Most seniors are deficient. Taking a magnesium glycinate supplement in the evening can help lower cortisol, relax the muscles, and improve sleep quality. Better sleep means less cortisol, which means less belly fat storage. It is a virtuous cycle. I want to warn you about fat burner supplements. You will see ads targeting seniors with pills that promise to melt belly fat. These are almost always caffeine pills or herbal stimulants. They work by revving up your adrenaline. This is the opposite of what you want. Adrenaline raises cortisol. These pills might make you lose a pound of water weight, but they stress your heart and can actually make the visceral fat problem worse in the long run by wrecking your adrenals. Do not waste your money. The cure is in the liver, not in a stimulant. Let's visualize what happens when you start this protocol. Week 1, you cut the fructose and stop the late-night snacking. You might feel a little hungry at night, but you sleep better. Week 2, the bloating starts to subside. Your pants feel a little looser around the waist. The rock-hard feeling softens just a bit. Week 3, your energy increases. Because your liver is clearing out some fat, your blood sugar stabilizes. You don't have that afternoon crash. Month 2, you notice your breathing is easier. The pressure on your diaphragm is lifting. You can tie your shoes without gasping for air. Month 3, the belly is visibly smaller. It is no longer a basketball, it is becoming a deflated balloon. This is not a vanity project. This is an organ rescue mission. You are saving your liver from cirrhosis. You are saving your pancreas from burnout. You are saving your heart from the strain of pumping blood through miles of extra tissue. There is a simple measurement you can do at home to track your risk. It is better than the scale. It is the waist-to-height ratio. Get a tape measure. Measure your waist at the level of your belly button, not your pants line, which might be lower. Measure your height in inches. Your waist should be less than half your height. If you are 6 feet tall, 72 inches, your waist should be less than 36 inches. If it is 40 or 42 inches, that is the danger zone. That gap represents the visceral fat load. Watch that number. As it goes down, your life expectancy goes up. I want to speak to the men specifically for a moment. The beer belly is often treated as a joke. It is a sign of a good life. It is not. It is a sign of low testosterone and high estrogen. Visceral fat contains an enzyme called aromatase. This enzyme converts your testosterone into estrogen. The bigger the belly, the more testosterone you lose. This leads to muscle loss, depression, lack of drive, and further weight gain. It is a feminizing trap. Losing the belly is the best way to naturally boost your testosterone levels without injections. It restores your hormonal manhood. And for the women, after menopause, the protection of estrogen is gone. Fat shifts from the hips, which is safe, to the belly. This is a shock. I've never had a tummy before. It is the shift in hormones. But the same rules apply. You have to be stricter with carbohydrates than you were at 30. Your body simply cannot process them the same way. The hard belly in a postmenopausal woman is a sign that insulin resistance is knocking at the door. Let's recap the soft belly protocol. Eliminate liquid sugar, no juice, no soda, no sweet tea. Alcohol holiday, take a break from alcohol for 30 days to let your liver decongest. Time-restricted eating, stop eating 3 hours before bed. Walk, 30 minutes daily to lower cortisol. Sleep, prioritize it as if your life depends on it, because it does. You might be thinking, this sounds hard. I love my toast. I love my wine. I understand. But compare the difficulty of changing your breakfast to the difficulty of managing diabetes. Compare it to the difficulty of recovering from a heart attack. Compare it to the difficulty of not being able to pick up your grandchild because your back hurts too much. The hard belly is a wall you have built around your organs. It is a fortress of inflammation. But you can tear it down. You can dismantle it brick by brick. Every time you say no to the cookie, every time you go for a walk, every time you get a good night's sleep, you are removing a brick. Your body wants to heal. The liver has an amazing capacity to regenerate if you just stop assaulting it. The fat wants to leave. You just have to unlock the door. So, touch your belly again. Feel that hardness. Don't feel shame. Feel determination. Acknowledge it for what it is, a temporary state of emergency. And then, start the work of fixing it. You have the tools. You have the knowledge. You can turn that time bomb into a battery of energy for your next decade. Thank you for listening. This is a battle worth fighting. Share this with your friends who are struggling with the same issue. Let's get healthy together. Stay strong, stay active, and soften that belly.